Shalom, everyone. Great to see you and familiar faces from all over the world. It's always exciting to see investing of time and stopping to hear about what happens in Israel, what happens to us here, literally from all over the world. People are sharing right now, and it's great to be here. And I'm not gonna lie, there are some better days and there's some worse days in this roller coaster of a war. Today is a bad day. Today, we have 9 casualties already
Mm.
from the beginning of the day. And the truth is that rumors started already last night that there are more. There were 2 big incidents yesterday in Gaza, and there are more people, soldiers injured, and some in very um, severe way. And we have just the bad feeling of waking up in the morning and to see more young faces. It's
Mm.
not easy. And on top of that, unfortunately, um, the news here in Israel talks about the fact that more or less we're talking about ending this war, folding, I would put it this way. Already we know of many, many troops that came out. We hear officials talk about the end of the war in Gaza, or as they call it, moving to the next step. You heard of this expression? The next step is on. And we did not want to finish this way. Honestly, as much as it's painful to have a lot of loss of lives here, but there was a prayer in Israel that at least for once we're going to determine the future for us, and we won't allow it to continue the way it's been until now. I want to bring you back to the memories of October 7th. At that moment, everything changed. Everybody realized the enemy. And right now, in a situation where we are going to stop this, and things are gonna go back again to the way it was because the Hamas is still there. They have the weapons, they have the tunnels. It did not stop. So the feelings are difficult. So I hope today um, we're gonna finish with a prayer for wisdom for our government and for the high officials of the state of Israel, that God is going to give them a little bit of wisdom to finish what we're started. The people want to finish. The people want to do this war. It's difficult. It's horrible, but we need to finish what we started because to give some peace to the people of the South and not even talking about the people of the North. That's another maneuver that we're going to talk about. Today, we're starting, hopefully 2024, with this new initiative of a monthly Zoom. And we said that, we're sending a lot of content, a lot of videos, a lot of text, but there's something in this Zoom conversation, live conversation, that is really, really updated to what happened at that moment. And also, we're going to leave time for questions. So it's not going to be a one-sided conversation. And I thought to start 2024 and to do it at a different note, maybe a bit, and maybe talk about heroism, talk about situation that we saw regular people, civilians, soldiers, reserved, and that did something tremendous. Brave people that with big acts of heroism. But I want to say 2 things in advance. Number one, it's a question of how you define heroism. And I'm not gonna talk today about the small acts of heroism in the sense that I feel that every mother that stayed home with 4 kids for 3 months, she's a hero. And I think
Amen.
every teacher that went to school in the morning after hearing awful news about 4 dead soldiers and her son is in Gaza and she went and teach at that
Yeah.
school, I think she's a hero. So I think there are many, many people in hero. And to be honest, I would say that everybody in Israel, as some kind of heroism in him right now. I'm not talking about this kind of heroism. I want to talk a little bit more than that. And I will say more than that, that heroes, sometimes you talk about somebody and you say, oh, he's a hero. It's not me. So I want to define a hero at what I'm going to talk about right now. And I think a hero is not a person that is courageous or a warrior that did something that was expected from him. I'm talking about somebody that was afraid. He didn't want to do what he did, but at that moment he realized it's either him or nobody, and he acted. And I think that's a lesson that we can learn also. We have many times situations in life. We're not born a hero, but there's a certain point that we can decide to act or to move away, and we will decide to act. I think that's the notion of heroism I'm going to talk about. So today, I'm going to present a couple of heroes in my perspective. Now, again, it's a fraction. There's so many stories. The big job today for me when I built this presentation a day or two ago was to move away all the options and try really to focus in a couple special one. There's going to be videos, and I hope you can see it. And if you cannot, just share, press the screen so you're going to see it higher. It's all in English, and it should work. I'm starting now. Just a second. So I'm defining today being a hero in a couple of circles. And I will start with saying that for me, the biggest heroes were the people that weren't supposed to be at that moment, at that time. People that decided to actively do something that wasn't expected from them. And we said heroes among us. So surely I want to start with somebody that is connected to us, specifically to us in CFOIC. And I want to talk about Amichai Israel Oster, and Sandra's nephew. You all know Sandra, and this is her nephew. And last week, we went to the funeral, and a big loss for the family and for the family of Karne Shomron. And obviously, Sandra is going to talk about him, and we're probably going to do a Zoom with her when we're going to interview her and maybe his mother. We want to hear more about this brave soldier. But from everything that was said there, I want to note this. Amichai was in the middle of his big trip after the army. He was in Salt Lake City that Saturday when he heard the news. And this brave young man decided to stop everything he did, immediately ran the near airport he had, and catched a flight to Israel. This is a person that was in the middle of his, after the army trip. He went to Asia and then he went to the US. He could have stayed there. Actually, his commander told him, there are many people that came, you don't need to come now. But he decides to come, and he decides to stop the trip, and he decides to stop his vacation, and he rushes him into the airport, and he comes here. He wasn't the only person. On the 7th of October, and the 8th, on the 9th, Israelis from all over the world knocked on airports to try to find a way to come back and to fight. It didn't stop there. Literally, hundreds and thousands of special flight brought people to fight in Israel, to help Israel, and to dedicate their time, their effort, and their money with so much gear that was donated at that moment. And I think that's the first circle I want to talk about. The people that weren't supposed to be here, and it was so important for them, and they returned.
Finally, tonight from here in Tel Aviv, Americans answering the call to action by rushing to Israel to help with relief efforts and to help fight Hamas. Here's Marissa Para.
Our Outside an Israeli airline ticket counter at Miami International Airport, pockets of emotion on full display before a 12-hour flight to Israel. Everyone here packing a different story.
Half of my relatives and friends went to the festival. I'm going to their funeral.
The hugs here last a little longer. Most don't know when they'll get another.
I'm numb, like a lot of people are right now.
That's Zach, the father of an IDF reservist, one of hundreds of thousands of Israeli reservists being called to duty, some boarding planes before the call even comes.
He found out about the war at 7 and he was on the plane by 11 o'clock.
Nata Nagli's home has been empty for over a week. She drove her son David to the airport with a one-way ticket to Israel.
I gave him a little box with a bug inside and it says love bug, and this is something that he gave me. So I took my little love bug and I gave it to David. And when he hugged me goodbye, he said, "Mom, I promise I'm gonna bring the love bug back."
At the airport, people preparing themselves and more. Suitcases being packed and shipped from around the state.
Everything from certified tourniquets that units have requested specifically to things like magazine pouches, and I think the trucks are here, so we have to run.
Supplies being rushed onto the plane just before departure.
What does it say on these suitcases right here?
It says, Am hanetzach lo mefached.
What does that mean?
It means that the Jewish nation is not scared.
This is a flight of promises hand-delivered.
This is not a time to be frightened. It's a time to be strong.
Marissa Parra, NBC News, Miami.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app. Finally tonight.
You're muted, Shmuel. Unmute yourself.
So 2 months ago, was already 2 months. Once after the war started, I went on a trip to the US and I gave talks and I've been all over the way we usually do. It was a planned trip. It was a very strong one, very emotional one. And that's what happened to me on the way back. So somebody comes to me, as expected, and says, "So you're flying to Israel, right?" And of course I'm flying to Israel with the only companies flying with El Al. So he says to me, "When you land, be aware to help us." It was a Friday afternoon. I arrived at 1. And for 3 hours until 4 o'clock, that's what happened in Ben Gurion Airport. Huge suitcases, duffel bags filled with equipment. And you see it's lying there on the floor, just waiting for people to take it away. And you know, everybody does whatever he can. So I had no problem, and I took 6 or 7 of them and just pushed them into the entrance of the airport. And in the entrance, there was a guy there from the tax who marked everything and checked everything was legit. And we just pushed it a little bit more, and people waited over the gate, take this gear to soldiers. And it was a full-on, non-stop, unprecedented equipment line, starting from gear and uniforms and shoes, and I really cannot express how much. And the word was that in the Jewish areas in New York, you couldn't find anything related to the army in like 100-mile circle. They literally took all the Walmarts, all the Targets, and just took everything they can. Warm gear and everything. So my first circle of heroism is this: to be in a situation when you're not involved and you're from the outside and you're in the middle of a vacation, you're living your life in Miami, and you decide to come, you decide to stop everything and just come to Israel. That's an amazing thing. And now I want to talk about the second circle. And the second circle for me is civilians that were there at that moment. And the only thing they wanted is to save their lives and their lives of the family. I'm going to show you now a short video of a very severe injury by a hero called Amichai Schindler. Now I want you to take a minute and notice this. The first person we talked about 2 minutes ago, Amichai Israel Oster. Amichai, my nation lives. Israel, Israel. And this is another Amichai.
Finally,
Amichai Schindler, my nation lives. That's the name. Amichai lived in one of the first communities around the Gaza border. I'm just going to show you this awful video.
As Israelis continue to mourn the more than 1,300 people murdered in last week's terrorist attack, they are also commending the countless Israelis who heroically protected their friends, neighbors, and loved ones. One of those heroes is Amichai Schindler, who miraculously kept Hamas terrorists from getting into his family's safe room, saving his wife and 6 children as Hamas riddled his body with bullets. I visited Amichai in the ICU of Sheba Medical Center and had the honor of speaking with his family. Sadly, this is not the first time the Schindlers have experienced the pain of a terrorist attack. Watch here.
This is Amichai Schindler. Shalom, Amichai. Amichai lives in Keren Shalom. Last week on Saturday it was Simchat Torah. We celebrated Torah. And he stayed at home with his wife and 6 children when the terrorist animals came in. And they went into the safe room, into the shelter, and he already knew that there are terrorists, so he held the door, protecting his family.
He was stopping them from
breaking the door. And he got bullets and all in his hands, but he literally stopped the bullets and the terrorists from injuring his family. Then the armed people of Kerem Shalom came in to rescue them, and there was a bomb that was bombed there. And he was severely wounded, as you can see, but the family was rescued alive. A wife and 6 children was rescued alive. And one of the things that struck us very emotionally was that Amichai, the family lost 13 years ago. They lost in a terrorist attack another son, his brother. And his friends that rescued him said, "We won't let the Schindler family lose another son." And they done great work, and Dr. Klein, who heads the trauma unit, could save his life here, and we hope for the best.
So what is the extent of his injuries?
Dr. Klein.
Mainly severe bilateral hands injuries. And one of the problems that the minute the rescuer went in, they couldn't evacuate him to the hospital at once, and they had to stop the bleeding with tourniquets. And the prolonged tourniquet time caused extended damage. So right now the fight is, at the beginning, was for his life, because he was in severe condition with all the consequences of prolonged stay in the field with massive injuries to his upper limbs. Now we are facing more with the pain. It's very painful. We treat him in all modalities of pain management, both systemic and regional, with blocks, nerve blocks.
Amichai is fighting for his life now, but he's going to go through rehabilitation. He's going to be better.
He's going to be with you for a long time.
For a long time. His name in Hebrew, Amichai, is my people is alive. And he symbolizes that Am Yisrael Chai. We will make sure of that.
And the meaning of the Kerem Shalom is the vinograd of peace. Okay? But kibbutz. And we are peace-loving people, but we also know the other way.
I get your meaning.
תגיד.
כן. הקיבוץ שהם גרים בו הוא קיבוץ של דתיים ולא דתיים.
I just want to show you. And the video was a week or 2 after the injury. He is right now, it's a living miracle. The doctors really said that his recovery is enormous. He lost both of his hands. And I saw a video of him joking with a friend that there are a lot of laws in Judaism regarding the hands, washing their hands and putting tefillin. And he's joking with his friend of how much those laws are not relevant for him now. And he prays that one day they're going to be relevant. Maybe they're going to recover it somehow. And you think of a person that just lost his two hands, look, a very serious situation. But the amount of courage and strength he has, unbelievable. Much better situation right now. Him and his 6 kids are together, they're joined. And this is a situation when you need to protect your family, when you have no other choice. And he was standing there, stopping the terrorists from entering the room, entering this shelter. He had no other choice. You know this lady? Have you heard of her? It's a stop from the sad stuff into a brilliant move by a brilliant lady. This lady, his name is Rachel. And on October 7th, in the community of Ofakim, where she lives, terrorists came to her home. After doing a massacre all around town, they came to her home, but they didn't shoot her immediately. Because when they came, she began to talk to them in Arabic. She came from an Arab country. I'm not sure if it's Morocco or Algeria, one of these places that Jews come from. And she stopped them and she literally told them, "You look very, very tired. Look at the wisdom. Look at the wisdom she had." She said, "I know they're going to shoot me in a couple of minutes. The only way I can avoid it, I need to gain some time until the police is going to come, until the army comes." So she brought them in and she gave them cookies and cakes and coffee. And she told them, "You need to relax. I'm going to cook you good food. You're going to be okay. You don't need to be in a hurry." She was able to do it for 30 or 45 minutes until the army came. It's an unreal story, and she became the hero of the war. Wisdom of ladies that none of us would ever consider.
Rachel is probably one of the most beloved women in Israel at the moment. She and her husband David were trapped inside their home in Ofakim when terrorists entered their home. They remained there for about 30 hours, during which Rachel demonstrated incredible bravery. When the terrorists led her at gunpoint to the upper floor, together with her husband, special forces of the Israeli police began negotiating with the kidnappers. At that moment, Rachel realized that she had to buy more time. Rachel offered the terrorists tea and something to eat, but she didn't stop there. She reached out to them, trying to soften their hearts. While talking to the terrorists, she also communicated with the police using secret codes. This way, she bought more time with great courage until the security forces were able to enter her home and control the terrorists. What a rare combination of an emotional intelligence, humanity, and courage. Rachel.
The story of Rachel was one of a kind. But this is what happened. They came to her home and she had to stop them. The next story, if we had somebody who was far away and came to fight, and we have people that were in their home and they came and were attacked and they had to react. This is a story of somebody that was not far, but not only he didn't protect himself, he went into the fire to save people. This guy is a farmer from a nearby community. When he heard there was the massacre in the party, he began to receive phone calls from friends. My son is there, my daughter is there. Rami, without any guns, without weapons, without anything, only with knowledge of the area and his private car, went inside and was able to rescue hundreds of people. Hundreds of people from the party. Phone calls after phone call. Sharing location, telling them where they were, and he went inside and fought without having one bullet shot, saving hundreds of people.
This man, the one everyone is calling, is Rami Davidian. He is not a police officer or an IDF soldier. He is just a concerned citizen. One of the worst massacres of the war took place at the Supernova Nature Party, which claimed at least 260 lives in what is considered the largest terrorist attack ever to hit Israel. All the participants tried to escape the area, but Rami Davidian from the community of Patish went the opposite way instead. When he encountered the terrorists, he pretended to be part of the security forces and ordered them in a very authoritarian voice to drop to the ground. This is how he was able to save a 10-year-old kidnapped child. During that rescue, Rami discovered that one of his own cousin's daughter, a young soldier named Ofir Davidian, was killed. Despite the terrible news, he continued his efforts to rescue more people. Rami and his rescue team were able to save hundreds of people and became national heroes. Rami, I'm totally proud to belong to a society of which you, this man, the one everyone is calling.
I told you Israel many times, Israel is a small country. This person, his brother, was with me on the same room when I worked as a lawyer in Tel Aviv. When I heard the name Davidian from the community of Patish, I immediately remember this is the guy. 20 years ago, his brother was with me. A simple person, a milkman, saving hundreds of people. Taking it to the next level. You can be near and act, and you can be far and act. These two names, you should have known about them, heard about them, because they really were remarkable. These two sets of people are literally in charge of saving hundreds of families. People came to them and said, you saved our life. Number one, Noam and Ishai Slutki, two brothers, finished the army, sat in a holiday in Simchat Torah at their home when they heard there was a terror massacre in the south. Now, every normal person, like the vast majority of Israelis, would pray more, would be very worried, would maybe consider and thinking, who does he know there? But not Noam and Ishai. Noam and Ishai took their weapon and went down to the south. They weren't called, they weren't in service, nothing. Civilians sitting at their home. Their father in their funeral, both died. The father in the funeral said that if they would be asked again, and they would ask him, they did not ask him, but if they would ask him, surely he would say, that's what you need to do. When your brothers and your sisters and your nation needs you, you don't ask questions. Same goes to the photo underneath. Elchanan Kalmanzon, the person on the left. Again, he is one of the security guards of the community of Otniel. If you've worked with CFOIC, if you've been our supporters, you surely heard of Otniel. Otniel is a very unique place with a lot of devastating stories, a lot of casualties, but a lot of heroism as well. If the name Kalmanzon seems familiar, it's because his father is the head of the yeshiva, a huge yeshiva in the community of Otniel. And same here. His son Elchanan hears something happens in the south, and he goes on the car and he texts in the middle of the holiday to his brother, the one next to him, and says, I'm going to the south. The brother says to him, I'm with you. They take another nephew. They go down south and they literally save hundreds of families. They go into a community that was surrounded by terrorists. Home by home, they enter. They make sure that there's no terrorists. They take them out. Home by home, home by home, until in the last home, a terrorist was there. Only Elchanan died at war. His brother and his nephew came back after saving hundreds of people.
One of the settlements that suffered the worst atrocities and unspeakable devastation and destruction was Kibbutz Be'eri, which is just 4 kilometers from the border. The terrorists stormed into the kibbutz at 6:29 in the morning and slaughtered 130 people, including women, children, and infants. That's more than 10% of their entire community. The death toll would have been double if not for the heroism of Elchanan Kalmanson and his brother Menachem. When Elchanan heard about the attack, he texted his brother Menachem, I'm packing my gear and I'm heading south. His brother immediately responded, I'm coming with you. As they got to the gate of Kibbutz Be'eri, they found people standing there crying over their loved ones who were still trapped in the kibbutz. Elchanan and his brother promised them they'll do whatever they can to bring them to safety. They found an abandoned army jeep on the side of the road, and for 14 and a half hours, from late afternoon through the entire night into the next morning, they drove back and forth into the line of fire, going from house to house, knocking on doors of safe rooms, begging people to open up so they could save them. People were scared. They thought they might be terrorists disguised as Jews. So Elchanan yelled Shema Yisrael and sang Simchas Torah songs until they were reassured and opened the door. They saved close to 100 people. The last house they went to, Elchanan walked in first and was shot by a hiding terrorist. His brother Menachem carried him out and held him in his hands as his life slipped away. Elchanan lived and died as a hero. In a letter to the Kalmanson family, one of the survivors wrote, after many long and terrifying hours, Elchanan arrived like an angel, and he immediately gave us a sense of security. His image will forever remain etched in our hearts. May the following Mishnah
May their memory be blessed. Surely, after heroism that people came from out, people, civilians that acted, we need to talk about the soldiers. Now, there's a problem talking about soldiers. First of all, there are so many of them. Second, it's not going to end here. So-called, it's hard to say, but soldiers tend to die in wars. This is part of the business. In wars, soldiers should die, do die, not should, but that's what happens. And there are so many heroic figures in this war. Big commanders fought. On the 7th of October, elite unit were the first to respond. And people from the highest achieved units in Israel died like never before. How can we talk? How can we choose a soldier or a hero? There are so many of them. I decided today, and this is going to be the last witness, to bring hope and spirit of hope to us by hearing a lady that talks about her husband. Her husband was a reserved soldier. And I want to make it clear again. The difference between somebody who dies in the age of 18, 20, 21, when he's still in the active service is one thing. The fact that somebody left his home, his family, his kids, and fought in reserve and died, it's a different thing. We have left many, many widows now. because of this incident. And still, it continues every day, unfortunately. Only yesterday. And I want to leave us with this impression of a strong, brave lady who talks about her husband, and she leaves us with no words to see what is the heroism and the spirit of Israel more than anything that I can say, or quite frankly, anybody else. To hear a wife talking like this is remarkable. And when you hear her and you see the brave and the spirit the people of Israel has, do know she represents with her words so many others. And that's what gives us the power to continue to persevere.
So, my name is Hadass Lowenstern, and we will be talking about my righteous husband, Elisha. First of all, Elisha, he was the love of my life. We spent 13 beautiful years together. We have 6 children. My oldest is 12 and a half. He will have his bar mitzvah a week before Rosh Hashanah. And my youngest is a 10 months old baby, a baby girl. And we were so happy together. We had a wonderful life, and we did many things together. My husband was a big Talmid Chacham. Actually, he did so many things in his life. I can say a few. He translated the Gemara Steinsaltz into English, and he used to tutor bar mitzvah, secular bar mitzvah boys here in Israel for their bar mitzvahs. And he would study Rambam Yomi, the daily Rambam, and he was in charge of our schedule here in our shul. And he used to work out. He would get up 4 times a week. He would get up before Vatikin to run. He had time for everything that was important, which was a very rare thing that I saw in him. He did not waste time. He did not waste time at all. He would do sit-ups. So he had this app that you can do, let's say 50 sit-ups, and then you have a minute, you have like a stopwatch. You have a minute to rest between sets. So within this minute, he would get up. He had an open Mishnayot. He would learn Mishnayot for a minute. And then when the app called him back, he would go back, do the squats or whatever, the push-ups or whatever, and then he had another minute. He would learn Mishnayot for a minute. On the 7th of October, when you all know what happened here in Israel, and we told each other, okay, this is wartime, and you have to go. We have to be there. So he left the house right after Simchat Torah. He left the house and he went to fight. They were there for about a week, maybe 10 days. I don't know, because we couldn't talk. Ever since he left the house, like 10 weeks ago, 10 weeks before he died, he called me twice. We had about a minute to talk. He told me that he is killing a lot of bad guys, that he is fighting B'Shem Hashem, that he is very happy to have the privilege to defend Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. He was very, very happy, and we were both very confident, because this is not a private story. This is not about Hadass Lowenstern or about Elisha Lowenstern. This is about the Jewish nation, and this is about our enemies trying to kill us throughout history. My husband was the first tank to go into the south part of the Gaza Strip. There were soldiers who got into this problem there and they got injured. So Elisha tried to go and rescue them with his tank, and they shot at him and they hurt him. Talking about his death is so shuli in my eyes, because he only died once, but he lived every day. So telling you how my husband died, he died. Hashem decided that my husband will die. That's Hashem's decision. I can't change it. But I am alive, and my 6 kids are alive. And this is our plan. we plan on living such a wonderful life that the bad guys will never be zoche to live. We will live here in Eretz Israel, and we will study Torah, and we will lekayem mitzvot, and we will be a happy Jewish family. And this is the true victory, in my eyes, b'chol mikre. In our watches, there is a time difference. Right here in Israel, the time is whatever, and you have time differences with us. But in our hearts, there are no time differences, and we love you so much, and we feel you. We feel you davening for us. We feel you praying for us. We feel you not speaking Lashon Hara for us, and we feel you having the best time with your kids for us, and we feel you jogging for us. Whatever you do there, far away, we feel it right here in Israel. And Bezrat Hashem, we will all be together when Mashiach comes. We will all be together here in Yerushalayim, and I will give all of you such a huge hug, like the hugest hug ever.
Yeah, I'm not on mute. Just want to take a moment. This difficult time, we understand that surely there's a lesson we need to learn. There's something that we need to take for ourselves. When we learn history, we try to embrace the past and memories and try to see how we can adapt for it. But when it's in our present, when we live it at this moment, it's much more difficult to reflect on it, huh? It's not something that you can say, oh, it happened in the past, what can I learn? You're learning it. And you're learning it with a lot of pain. And you're learning it with a lot of sorrow and with emotions and with devastating news. And when you stand at that moment to hear those lessons from so strong people that went through the biggest loss of their life, you really you understand things that you never understand before. And in the last moments that we have, I want to talk about this notion of heroism that I started with. Heroism is so many things, so many small things that we can do. So much small things, just the way we reflect on things, the way we embrace things that happens to us. To be there for people in need, to be there to smile when you go to places, even though you're sad inside. That's heroism for me. And later, before today, or a couple of hours ago, I read this post by an Israeli lady that talked about the fact that she's for the first time understand now the story of Joseph. How come Joseph is related now to this story? She says as follows. She says, imagine yourself being a kid and being sold by your brothers. And you're going to Egypt and you go to jail and you've been taken away and you solve messages here and messages there. And she says that when you reflect at that moment, you have all the reasons to be sad and tired and frustrated and drafted away from God, and I'm there by myself. I have no power, no energy whatsoever to stand. But you said, be like Joseph, a person that any point in the story, whenever it was in the lowest of the lows, and you had a mission. There is a reason why I'm here. There is something for me to do. while I'm being sold, while I'm in the pit, while I'm in jail, while I'm in front of Pharaoh. Every moment of the story, I know there's a bigger mission. There's a task for me. There's something here that I need to do. And that's the inspiring point of being God's messenger to this world. Every point, every moment, every second. The people that we saw on those videos today were in a very difficult, challenging moment at that time. And they did something amazing. I want to say today that all of us have this moment in time, and we have so many decisions to make on a daily basis of what do we do? How do we engage with life? What do we do differently? And choosing the right path is heroism for us, just like they had. They were in a big, difficult moment. We have a small moment, less difficult moments for sure, but we need to also to decide to understand we have a mission, we have a goal, we are here for a purpose, and we're going to act on the right way. Thank you so much for coming and for listening. And now if you have any questions or thoughts or anything else, please let us know. And Pam, if you will take a moment later, just talk about the upcoming journey to Australia. Surely you can add something to this. But first, if we have any questions, thoughts, please.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and just talk. I think Shmuel needed to warn us that we all needed a box of Kleenex handy.
There's not much to say maybe after this video. So if there's nothing to say, we don't need to wait anymore. Pam, do you want to add something? We would love to hear from you.
I wanted to say something. This is April. I think we're all just a little stunned. You know, we're kind of speechless, but I've been watching the news all along, and the only one I can get from Israel is I-24. Can you suggest or recommend a different news service that I can maybe watch more videos?
Listen, the truth is, if it's news, I don't know of any good things that to give you. I know that the Jewish network usually have pretty much doing good job. I know we have there's a lot of YouTubers that try to give you the news updated as much as possible, but it's not current news. It's their observation of what happened in the last couple of days. I can definitely, I know Kim would have more insight about good channels to watch. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely Israel National News, Breaking Israel News. I don't know, maybe you, Shmuel, will put something together and send it out on an email just as a resource. And if anybody has one that they use regularly that they like, just send it to me on email, and then we'll just add that on our landing page. That way just people have a place to go.
That would be great. Even if it's in Hebrew with English captions, it's good too.
Right, yeah, subtitles. Okay, yeah, I know that'd be great. Anybody that's got resources, we'll just make a little resource page for that.
Thanks.
I'll just say this, Shmuel, you did a great job. Really appreciate everything you do and CFOIC does. Really amazing work, and I'm Yisrael Chai very much. I'm Yisrael Chai. You look great. You look a little tired, so I hope you get some sleep.
Thank you, Brian and Leah. Good to see you.
Good to see you. This was so important.
I'd like
So,
just to.
Marian Sally is raising her hand.
Yeah.
Please, Marian from Australia.
Yeah.
Please.
Hello. Yes. Sorry, I just popped on. I apologize late, but good to see you, Shmuel. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Pam. Everybody. So I'm gathering it's been a bit of a difficult one to wade through to hear Shmuel, but to me, he's always got some very wise and good things to hear. And you don't have to open your mouth to be our hero, Shmuel. You just are. So yeah, I can only go from my own heart of the last 3 months. Is it 3 months, 2 months? Yeah, but in the midst of the absolute horrors, the absolute reality of what Israel is going through, and indeed what the world is producing, above it all, there is some incredible testimonies of heroism. And I think my go-to inspiration now is hearing some of the amazing testimonies from families of soldiers that have fallen. And to be honest, it's what keeps us in our own faith, that God is truly a great deliverer, and he will continue to deliver. And he's just making a people that are almost, who weren't taking much notice of him, to ones that are really becoming great worshippers of him. And so out of this terrible, terrible instance, like I think I heard Joseph just mentioned, his life was just totally turned upside down, but he became the glory in Israel of Hashem, and was used powerfully to take Israel on to its destiny. So let's believe for this, and perhaps though I'm not in the land, I think everyone on the screen's hearts are there, and that somehow we can have faith to believe that we're part of this also. And it's to just honor and adore him and continually hope in him every day. And our prayers, of course, are always with you, Shmuel, and Kim and Pam. Thank you for being who you are right in the midst of this.
Marian, thank you so much. I would just want to add to what you said, that the truth is, and I think, it's going to take time. Now it's in the middle, but after that, after we're going to have more time, I really hope they're going to translate or even put subtitles on so much, witnesses and people and families sharing. Like, you're missing a lot not knowing Hebrew. I'm talking about, look at how many families, how many stories, how many lives there. And all of them, it's like huge stories. You can, start in the morning till the evening time and just watch interviews and stories and things that happen, which is going to blow your mind. And unfortunately, it's not in English. And today, when I've searched for videos to show here, and I found many, and I thought of, it's only a fraction. Think of how many people died in this war, and how many more stories we have to share, and how many lives, big stories that we just lost, and it's on a daily basis. It's being showed and told, and it's blowing our mind. And the truth is, you can dive into this rabbit hole and not leave, because the stories are endless. You don't want to do that because it's insane. But I think it's going to be a life mission for so many people to tell the stories of the people that we lost, that Israel lost, that in this last 3 months. And the stories are remarkable, and the people are remarkable. And I really wish you knew more Hebrew, guys. I'm telling you, you would be overwhelmed. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yes, Pam, you want to take it away?
It's just, I've watched that beautiful lady for at least 3 or 4 times. But this morning, I think in this atmosphere, I think of love that's in this Zoom. It brought me to tears. Such a powerful story. So first off, we have to say from Australia, our hearts go out to Sandra and for her nephew. And our heart is strong there. And I know that we've had a lot of people say this. And for the tour to come down to Australia. I live in Brisbane, for those who don't know me. I live in Brisbane. So we're praying for the Christians, more Christians to be open to hear the heart of Israel and Israel Kai. We're just praying that to have a great audience come, Shmuel, to the meetings that we're organizing for you. And your long-standing friends, everybody is looking forward to seeing you. Well, I think that you might have to break the Jewish tradition and let a few people hug you. We're looking forward to seeing you. And we need to gain strength from these stories. This bravery of Israel becoming one family in unity. This is the story that I feel to tell the Australian audience, that Christians, we need to get together and see how Israel is standing in unity, because I think the Christian church, we're not that strong yet, and we need to be strong to stand up for one another in our own small communities. So that's a huge thing that I'm taking from this. And we have always a lot to learn from our Jewish brothers and sisters. So we're looking forward to having you, Shmuel, and learning and hearing and acting on all of this bravery and unity that's come out of this war.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much. Pam is obviously our representative in Australia. She's been working so hard to have a schedule for us. I'm going to be there in the end of February until the beginning of March. It's a great blessing. Guys, I want to finish up today's conversation and tell you, hopefully, it's going to happen again in a month. Hopefully, we're going to bring guests and we're going to bring more people to join in. Not just you guys, maybe we're going to have a conversation with special people from the land. It means a lot to us for you to come and hear and share our situation here. And I want to take this moment and try to express it. In the midst of everything, with missiles falling, with casualties all over the place, we feel isolated. We feel that we are by ourselves on our own. Nobody cares. Knowing that there's so many people behind us, knowing that you guys and many others are here praying for us, caring for us, protecting us, means the world for us. And that's what we do. We share to the people in Judea and Samaria. You need to understand how much love and support you have. They don't get it. And we're there to try to tell them over and over, and we show it. And every time we gain support from you and we're able to give and help another community, and we tell them, you see, this is from people who love you. You understand how it is to live in a sense of a belief that you really are not loved, and knowing that there's so many people who really love you and care for you. So that's what we do. We, talking about hugs, Pam, we are hugging the people of Judea and Samaria in your names. And I'm telling you, that means a lot for the people of Israel. And your support and your love and your encouragement means the world for us. So going to the beginning, small act of heroism, choosing to be with us, support, care, free time, give, and be a part of this great story of the nation. God will bless you. Thank you so much for your time. Good morning, good evening, good day, good everything.